Sometimes she lays, yeah, but most times she loves.
Sometimes she... Okay.
Sometimes she slings. Sometimes
Slings?
she throws. Sometimes she casts. Sometimes she tosses too. But most times she laughs.
She laughs.
Sometimes.
This episode is brought to you by our new niece, Joelle Lydia Demosthenes.
Hello, friends, and welcome to an unexpected podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Amanda.
Amanda, yeah.
We're known for our wolf spiders, which is very fitting.
Whoa, seriously?
Oh boy, 3-4 inches.
Did you say
in
wolf?
width.
Did you say wolf?
Wolf
Spiders.
Yes, sir.
See, yeah, I don't know much about spiders because I'm scared of them.
Big as your feet, man.
So never going out at night again.
Yeah.
Or going out there and moving into that wood for the fire pit. You know.
Yeah.
I'm
further away.
Yeah.
Further up, further in.
So this week we've got our bug spray as we crawl through the hole known as Shelob's Lair, as a part of our journey through Middle Earth.
As this chapter, I'm giddy again. I'm as giddy as a schoolboy. I'm ready to go. I feel excited. I feel scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
I feel like Shelob, you know?
Shelob, or does she catch?
Well, she does one of the two.
She keep.
But I feel like you know, and I meant to say it that way, in this tunnel that she's in. She's feeling good.
Oh,
she's giddy.
She's giddy,
right?
She's in charge. She's the boss.
Yeah.
She doesn't care about rings or other powers or
No.
Sauron. Pfft.
She's looking
little
at her
peons
chops.
for she's licking her chops.
Yeah. So,
or her pincers or
whatever it's
pincers,
called.
whatever. The big things she eats with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some tasty, nice, plump hobbits are coming her way.
Have you ever eaten a spider?
No. No.
You know, the average human swallows 29 spiders in their life.
I've heard that.
I think the number's high on that, but I'm just, you know how most stats, 95% of statistics are made up on the spot. That one was one of those. So I thought 29 sounds like a good number. That's one a year.
Well, I've heard, though, that they're at one a year. What are you trying to say, dude? Like the average. What are you trying to say? I'm sorry, Lane just literally.
It's because I'm 30 and I haven't I haven't swallowed one this year yet.
Oh, I see.
See how I rationalized that mistake?
Yeah, I did. But yeah, in your lifetime, whoever you are, it's one a year.
I'm 81, fella.
That makes sense. Oh my gosh.
Well, you're born on a leap year.
That was funny. So yeah, I don't even know what I was going to say there, but I was, it was
man.
spiders. Oh no, I feel like every time I wake up and I have a cold, like a sore throat,
which is me right now.
Yeah, I feel like. And you get that like pain in the back of your throat. You're like, did a spider?
What's wrong? Have you have a spider caught in your throat?
Bite me? Like, I don't know.
Dude, maybe.
Because I've heard that.
Have you heard about the people that we're going to gross out so many uppers, guys? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Please just fast forward. Have you heard about the people who they get like a spider lays eggs in their mouth and they wake up and there's just millions of spiders crawling out of their mouth?
You're kidding me. You're joking, right?
No.
Okay.
It's one of the fireworks sound effects, actually, I just used right there.
Yeah, that was.
Throwback.
And
it's not even Thursday.
Funny? No, it's not. Funny thing about that, you just caused me to remember like a dream that I had forgotten that had come to me years ago when I was a youngster.
Okay.
Under 10 years old. I have a cousin.
Formative years.
Yep.
All right.
I had a cousin named Mandy. And
I don't like the sound of this.
The night before, my Aunt Rita was like digging in her ear. I don't know. My mom was there. She's a nurse.
Dude, come on. Save this for one upping.
No, real quick.
This is not real.
This is real. She's like digging in there. They're trying to figure something out, right? I lay down that night to sleep, and it was the realest dream. I actually thought it was real. For several weeks afterwards, I thought, I couldn't separate, reality between like dream. When I was a youngster, a potato growing out of her ear.
What?
I'm serious. It was like this. And I don't remember what it was, but I felt like I for years thought that Mandy had something growing out of her ear because they were like trying to get it all out.
You know why?
Like
because people call ears spuds.
Maybe I don't know, but
don't they?
Yeah, I don't know. They might have said that though.
Is that
right?
a thing? Here we are getting bloated again. Sorry.
Stats being made up. Yeah. They're like, oh, here we go. Third week in a row. And I don't know what happened in the chapter.
Talking about nothing. Actually, we do.
Yeah.
This one sucked me right in.
It did.
I was crawling down the holes too. I mean, that's just where I was.
Yeah.
How are you, my friend? You've had the last since we've last talked. It's a lot of occurrences have passed.
Been running on fumes this week, as of you have.
Yeah.
As of you have.
I don't know.
Can't even talk.
Sounds good to mer.
Can't even talk. So I went to
you're back from Hoth or Jakku or
dude, it was snowing in Chicago, like legitimately.
I heard about that.
I pulled my hoodie out and like sleet was getting down my shirt and it was like all over the place. And here I am in shorts.
Did you find a tauntaun and just cut your way in, or well, you're always in shorts.
I'm always in shorts, yeah, because it's just who I am. It's my nature. I'm warm blooded,
Yeah,
but you are cold blooded people out there who can't
take
handle a little cold. What?
Is that right? So, are we hobbits in the Green Dragon right now?
No idea. We're
I
having
think
a
so.
blast.
Yeah.
But I was at Chicago Star Wars Celebration, and
the land of my youth, by the way.
Yes.
My sister was born there.
Yeah, and I thought of you for I was.
Did you get a hold of Richard George for a wiener?
No, I didn't even.
He was going to take you out for a hot dog.
No.
And I said, I'll bet $10,000 he doesn't even see this comment.
Oh my Lord.
You owe Richard George. He's going to love hearing
dog.
this. You owe him a wiener in Chicago.
Okay.
Because the hot dogs are the
Richard,
best, my friend.
I got you. Actually, that is about all I ate was hot dogs there too.
Were they Shy Dogs though?
I don't know. They were local
gourmet.
It was a local thing.
Chicago
that they brought
hot.
in.
Yes. Okay.
Some truck.
Then they were probably real good.
Yeah, they were solid.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was So I owe him because I am going back to Chicago. Yeah. And I was like, why is it Chi-Town? Why is it SHY?
Because She-Town doesn't sound as good.
Chi-Town. You should
Shit-Town.
Chi-Town.
Wait, what'd you do?
SHY. Chi-Town.
Yeah.
Why is it so shy? Right? I don't get it.
It's got low self-esteem.
So anyways, had a great time there. I will get Richard a dog when I go back to meet all the friends that I met that were actually from Chicago.
Yeah.
And I had such a good time meeting different folks. I got so inspired, so jacked up, so fired up. And I came back and it's just been like, I've been catching up on schoolwork, catching up on social media comments, just different things, other projects. And I'm ready to make some changes in my life, my friend.
The Flannel Wizard is fired up. I mean, he's usually sweating. That sweat has doubled. He's so excited, ready to go, amped
we went
up.
Out, pumped some iron.
We did. We pumped some iron. We got a little sweat going. Got the heart rate up. It's the middle of the day because we're both off today, so this is great.
We listened to some death metal music.
Yeah, we did, man. Oh, the Shire and the Hobbits.
Shelob.
But you're feeling inspired. You're feeling good. We're actually talking on brand new mics because Ez went out and bought brand new equipment just for. I think we're going to get the UP emblazoned on there, right? Or something?
We are. And actually, I thought we would label. Each of us would have our own mic.
Oh my gosh!
That one's the Earth. This one's mine.
This one's named Lane. And this one treat him very well.
I want mine to say the Flannel Wizard.
I want mine to say Julian.
Okay, Julian. That's fine.
Hey guys.
Oh crap, he's back. Sorry.
Mine's Big Podcast.
So no, thank you to all of our patrons, by the way, because we're working towards the studio. We've got everything kind of lined up. We're ready to start. I would say like mid-May,
guys.
We're just gonna go nuts this summer. Like we're gonna go crazy.
As you're gonna make a vow here later in this episode.
Yes, I am.
I think I'm ready to make a vow myself.
Okay, let's do it.
And I know you're gonna be like, whoa, Lane, pump the brakes.
Whoa.
I think we're gonna have enough funding to be able to have this studio ready to go.
Yeah,
ready to be enjoyed, ready to be sit down in and hung out in for the long expected party, guys. I'm putting it out there.
The inaugural,
I think when you come here, we're going to be cracking open that door. Paint may still be drying, but you'll be amazed and you'll think, holy cow.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then you can walk right into that studio. We'll have the mics blaring so loud that the fire of Anduril will be burning off them and you'll be like just talking into them, and it's going to be an epic day.
It's going to be awesome.
Calm down.
I am so ready because a part of it too is just that we want to like work out. That's going to be like us up and active. Goldberry, come down this way. Hey, actually,
Goldberry, you want to say something?
Oh no, she's good.
She's
good.
going to. It's washing day. It's raining outside.
Here's the thing. Yeah, it is, and actually that kind of motivates me because it's a there's a cleansing power.
Yeah, there is.
In that, and I was telling Wayne earlier. I came and I saw Goldberry and Winnie sitting on the front porch, just waiting for me to arrive.
Yeah.
Enjoying the weather.
They did that intentionally, by the way.
The mist. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I got to sit down with them in the rocking chair, and it reminded me of the time where my mom and I would sit down out on the front porch, and she talked about the power of rain and the cleansing power of it. And I always get motivated on rainy, drizzly days, even though they're kind of dreary. Like the sun will shine again, like it's sort of like it makes you appreciate that it's coming back.
Absolutely.
And we need to get ready and prepare ourselves. So, on that note,
yes,
I told you this. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Oh, the Flannel Wizard needs his own. I hear. Well, yeah, we're shaking.
Yeah.
I need my own Goldberry. Okay, is that okay? Goldberry, can I say that? Will you help me? Okay, good. She's giving us the thumbs up. And to do that, like I've got some things going on in my life. I've got some personal things that have been happening. I kind of hinted at in the Bywater post, but I've made an agreement and a pact with Lane. And I feel like just our friendship is going to help me get to that point. I'm so inspired. I'm so pumped. I'm so jacked.
Yeah.
And I just want to be able to do more. And I have a vision. I've told him about the secret project that I'm working on, and it's near and dear to my heart. And I just got the phone with my sister, and I have a lot of things planned.
Yeah.
And so I've got to get ready. Yeah, I've got to get ready.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Got to prepare myself. So a part of that is, just making these declarations and saying, we're going to do it. Here we go. It was the people in Chicago. It was my friends. It was my family. Yeah. It's you listeners. It's the uppers, who inspire me. And I'll be honest, of all the projects that I do, we have the best community. I will say this hands down. It is so, because here's the thing. Most of you listen to me on other projects as well. And you guys know, like, we have such a good atmosphere and a climate. And I think it comes down to the author and to the content that we're reading about. It's infectious.
Yeah, it is.
And
there's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo.
Yes. So it motivates me and it fires me up. Everything else that I do is super fun as well. And I love, and here's one of my connections. So Star Wars. Can I go on a
caveat? Go for it.
Can I go for an aside here?
Yes.
My
last aside.
Last aside. Okay. We're starting
Jimmy Nichols.
We're starting that band, by the way. But so I was in. Shout out to my new friend Jeremy from Chicago, and I met Laura, Alice, Lindsay. I met so many friends out there. Jimmy. The list goes on and on. So many good friends, and. I want to. If you're some of you are like, oh, just Lord of the Rings podcast. Why are you bringing up Star Wars? Well, because it can motivate
this is
you.
The fellowship, my friend.
Okay?
Yes.
And I was sitting there, and if you ever hear me on other projects, I often talk about the Force and what it means to me. And as a kid growing up with a bone disease, it actually I believed that anything was possible because of the power of the Force. It made me think that because I am in a wheelchair or I am on crutches or whatever, I can do anything. And I can imagine with my mind all these great things. So, in that regard, that was where I started to get inspired and get into fantasy and all that kind of stuff. And then The Hobbit took me further. The Lord of the Rings takes you further. Yeah. And it's just so good to kind of have those things in your life and to share that with people. So I'm there and I'm sharing all these different experiences. We had listeners, we had upper listeners, and it was so cool to talk about just those inspirations. I don't know what you call Chicago, Minas Tirith, maybe. I don't know. It's another Minas Tirith. What is it? I don't even know. It's
I'd have to think.
I have to think about where it's at and location. It's like,
Shinas Tirith.
Tirith.
Yeah, it is. It's a big city.
It's a big.
It's
city.
a big city, buddy.
But it's
friendly. It's like the only big city that has a Midwest feel.
Yeah, it really is. And there was some just good people there, but. I'm always looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and say the quote. Can I say the quote?
Yes.
Okay. So my friend Jeremy was like, he's like, Ez, I've listened to you, talk about the Force and talk about, the powers in Lord of the Rings and how they inspire you and stuff. And he said, you've been looking for that quote from the originals that like identifies that makes the Force a character.
Person. Yeah, character.
It's its own person. And I had been trying to figure out a way, a quote that would back me up in that. I've said the quote before, but I never put it in this context. We're all huddled around a table. Multiple listeners from multiple podcasts just chilling out, and he literally turns and says to me, he said, he goes, Vader said it best. He goes, ironically, Vader said it best. He said, Obi-Wan is here, and the Force is with him. And then he said, like moments later, he's sort of like,
epic.
And then he says to me, may the Force be with you. It was with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
May it be with you as well.
Yes, exactly.
And I just literally, I stood up, I started walking around, I got so fired up. I walked outside, it was snowing, and I just got fired up. I give a little shout out in the road, and I walked up. He's like, "You're all right, man." I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm fired up, man. Like this is what I needed." And so like the rest of the weekend, and that kind of started it off, and we just kept talking. So like for me, for Lane, and we've talked about just like the unexpected party, the studio. The friendships that we have, us getting excited about a TV show and things like that, and just being inspired by each other. Man, we need each other, man.
Yeah, we do.
We need each other, and I have people in my own person in my life, friends and family, who I've been encouraging to say we need each other.
Yeah,
you can't do this on your own.
No.
And so I'm okay with saying that, and I need
Takes the fellowship, man.
I need to increase. Okay.
Yeah.
OES needs to increase. I know it. It's something that I personally know, and no one needs to tell it to me.
Yeah.
I've been told.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that. Dude.
It's come from a land. It's come from the land of Aslan's father. Okay, that's where it's come from, my friend.
Dang.
All right, and he's speaking to me, and OES needs to increase, and I will. So, anyways, encourage each other. Be inspired.
Yeah.
Try to find that fire. Just get fired up about something.
I mean, I think you could even argue that the Force makes an appearance in this chapter, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. Man,
and that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
The Force makes an appearance in this
It
chapter.
does. It legit. We have said it. Go back to fellowship. Why do I like this reread? Why am I having so much fun? And why have I focused so much on mysterious, powers, things that are moving our characters in ways they don't understand?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love so much about this. Oh my gosh, we were talking with Jim, and just the idea that he, had a. Like the song kind of inspired these things and stuff. So, like the song is what brought the world to being. So,
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just
no, it's
super
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so something you said there too. You're talking about, you've had this ruminating in your mind and your soul for a long time, and you're starting to. You're talking about, making this declaration here and recording it. And there's power in that, man. There's power in. Something can sit in your essence and being for a long time, but it's when you speak it out that it starts to come into truth.
Yeah.
Because now it's out there and you can't take it back.
No.
And it's echoing for the whole world to hear.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to you tenfold. You keep something inside and it's easy to kind of push it back down and go, no,
Right.
I don't.
Right.
Yeah, that's just a dream. But you speak it out loud, and it's like, okay, now it's real. Now it's something that everyone can see. I want, So yeah. So and I'm with you, man. I want to better myself too. So there's lots of ways to do that. One of those is physically and feeling better, health wise and all that stuff. So we're gonna do that. And I don't know, man. It's just
like mentally, spiritually, physically, we are literally going to take it to the next level, and that is what it's about for us right now.
Yeah.
And so we've decided to switch things, prioritize a certain number of things in our life, and before we even start the podcast, there are things that we need to do. We need to work out, we need to meditate, we need to sit and talk, and that's what it's about. And we need that friendship and that community here, just even in Amanda. So
we all need it, don't we? Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry guys, so fired up.
No, dude, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. It's been a crazy week. So
what's been going on with you guys?
I mean, well, my niece was born. Joelle was born. My sister and Darrell had their first baby girl. She's beautiful. She got as much head on her hair as most hobbits have on their feet. I mean, like you saw her.
Oh,
it looks like
Lord,
a wig. I'm looking into donor, like transplant, sort of options. Since we shared similar DNA, I think it would take on my head. I get those corners filled in, maybe get that straight hairline back. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that's not why we have, why our siblings have kids, guys. It's not why we have
not
nieces
to donate
and nephews,
hair.
but that's a pretty good benefit. We're gonna look into it. I'm just kidding. What else? Rugby's back. Lined a new pitch yesterday, Cedarland Park in Lancaster, Ohio. So that was fun. Just little stuff like that.
There's a new park?
Yeah, new place that we're playing. Rising is being used for something else, so we moved to a new location. But it's got its own beauty, and it was really cool getting to line the field yesterday with Bo and his son Kane, and Brent is the guy who works for Parks and Rec, who's the lining master. I mean, this guy's amazing. So most clubs, they here in America anyway, it's hard, and Paul will love this because it's a little, and Matic too will know what I'm talking about. Our rugby uppers, but it's hard to kind of get support in America because it's such a niche game, unfortunately. But Lancaster Parks and Rec, Mike and Brent have been so awesome. I've never even provided like a sketch of a rugby pitch. Like Brent has done this for a couple years, and every time he brings a layout he's printed off the internet, and he's got his own conversions to feet in there, and he takes pride in the way it looks, and it's just cool. Like you step back and we get so busy thinking about ourselves. You step back and you admire the works of others, and you're blown away. And I think that's another thing that makes our community so beautiful of uppers. Is what Jen's doing with the newsletter, what we get to see through the Facebook group. We get to see your skills highlighted. We get to see your talents brought to the forefront.
They encourage us.
Yeah. And mostly it's just cool to sit back and look at and go, wow, this is an amazing group of people that sharpens, iron sharpens iron. You know, we sharpen each other, and we're a pretty sharp group. So
Yep.
yeah, lots of stuff. What else? I'm on spring break. Jimmy Nichols was just here.
Yeah.
I got to do some golfing with him. Ez and I hung out with him. We did some recording. We actually recorded a future episode and a Patreon episode. And Jim is he's studying linguistics, so we're going to talk about Tolkien and his love of language. So that's really exciting. I can't wait for you guys to hear that. It was honestly, it's on par with our Tammy and our Shane episodes.
Absolutely, it was. Yeah.
And it was just really cool. Like, he would say stuff, and our minds just exploded. And
Right.
we in a positive way, we saw more tunnels, in the Lair, and it was it was a really, really cool thing.
Right.
Yeah, that's about it though. We got some new. Going into Dropping Eves, we've got some new show stuff going on.
Yeah.
So this is pretty exciting. We have kind of a date for filming when that's going to begin.
How?
Yeah. So, I mean, we were, it's just, it seems like it happens all of a sudden, right? It seems like Payne and McKay were just announced as writers, but, I mean, they're either done with the script or they're very nearly done. Because if they're talking about beginning filming in August, and many of you, too many to even rattle off here, many of you posted this news article link in the group saying, hey, they're starting in August of 2019, and yeah, they are. So literally, 4 months from now, they will begin filming. They're going to film until about November. They're going to be in Scotland in, I believe it's pronounced Leith or Leith, Edinburgh. So that's really exciting. We've got a location for the studios. We know where they're going to be. So centered in Edinburgh, which is it's the capital. It's a big city. So you'll have your studio work done there, and then on location stuff, they'll just kind of get lost in the locks, I'm thinking. And so they're going to do that first block of shooting, and then they're going to go back in March of 2020 and film for another 3 months. So until about May or June of 2020, which I think they're saying 2021 release now. But it's just really exciting. And they, the picture that, the OneRing.net posted of Leith, I don't know where this is. It's along like a river, and there's some kind of like citadel tower thing.
Yeah.
And they posted this with all that news. And I was like, hang on now. I mean, are they going to film at that location?
Yeah.
Like, and then I started thinking, I'm like, holy cow, like Scotland would have some, unlike New Zealand.
Right.
Scotland would have some maybe lesser known, because it's not, people don't know as much about Scotland as they do about, England and Wales and Ireland and stuff. It gets kind of forgotten how beautiful it is, I think, and it's and wrongly so. And I'm just thinking, like, could they film at some castles?
Well, yeah,
sure. Like,
Absolutely.
could they have some practical sets where they could maybe add on digitally some other stuff? But are some of these places functional enough that they wouldn't necessarily have to build or digitally build every,
that would be epic.
Yeah, like every landmark. I'm really excited, especially since it's going to be, we're guessing, in Numenor, a place we've never seen before. So we're not going to be going, oh, well, it's not exactly how Rivendell looked. I don't believe it. We're going to be like, okay, sure, Forostar, cool. I don't know what that looks like.
Right.
This is what it looks like.
That's what it is. There it is.
And then you could have some realistic, some actual landmarks that you could go visit, and they would be there forever, or because they have been there forever, kind of a deal. So yeah, very exciting stuff.
That's cool.
Very exciting stuff. I'm trying to think of what else. So they're just kind of comparing it to that being their base, just like what Titanic Studios in Belfast was for Game of Thrones. And guys, I hate to break it to you. I know a lot of you guys are throne heads or whatever you call yourselves, toilet guys.
I don't know what they call it. I actually don't know if there's a name for it. Yeah.
Goats, maybe. But in a couple of years when this shows out, people are going to be going, game of what? Huh?
Game
was that like Outlander that happened like 45 years? What's going on? I don't know.
Outlander. You're out on Outlander?
I don't even know what Outlander is.
Okay, cool.
Shame on me. Watched out of myself there, didn't I?
Shame on you, my friend.
But anyway, it's gonna. I have a lot of faith in this this project.
You should. Yeah.
So we're excited about.
We've
that.
said it before, and I'll say it again. It is one of those things that, like, when there was a void.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, appeared.
Yes.
And I mean, and it's successful because of how successful the Lord of the Rings
the
films
hunger
were.
was there, the thirst was there.
I mean, you look at those films, and it's sort of like, look at the extended edition that came out. And people were like, no, that's how you watch it.
Right.
You're going to watch a 3.5-4 hour movie.
Yes.
What? Yes. And so now that set the precedent for TV shows.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
raise the bar.
And we're going to say, okay, here's the thing. We're going to do a TV show, and it's also going to be the content's better. You know?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on
Just
what you're
different.
It's different. It's completely different. So
Yes, it is.
what you're into and what I grew up being inspired by and things. It's more of a Game of Thrones is more of a mystery. Sort of, you don't know who's going to hack who off and stuff, and it's real, violent and different things.
Yeah.
What inspires people is these great powers, the unknown, the things that move us, and like the Force in Star Wars, like just what's happening with the Shire itself.
Yeah.
You know, oh my gosh, wait till you hear Jimmy talk about the naming of the Shire.
Just the words and the sound. I'll
you
never
know,
say
the sounds.
Shire again
No.
or think of it the same
I
way
know.
again.
So that's coming up soon.
really cool.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah. So also rumored to be on board or involved. Now this is I don't know how legit this is. I believe that the OneRing.net reported on this as well. So unless it's April 1st, it's pretty legitimate. They are a powerhouse that gets a lot of. They have sources, is what I'm trying to say. They've got ringer spies and all that stuff. And anyway, they have reported that Howard Shore and John Howe have been linked in some way. Whether that means they will be involved directly or consulting or what. But so if you're a fan of the music, which who is not, that's good news. If you're a fan of the visual look of especially the men and even a lot of the forces of darkness, you're in luck because that was a lot of John Howe. Alan Lee he was like the elf master, and John Howe was like the Gondorian. Even with Rohan and especially like the powers of darkness master. John Howe was responsible for the illustration of Barad-dûr. He did one, I don't think like 90s or something for a calendar. Peter Jackson said, "Can you draw me the rest of it?" Wow. It was only a section, and then so anyway, that's very, very exciting. We'll spend entire future episodes on just anticipation for the show, but. Yeah, thank you guys for keeping us updated. Thank you for keeping your ear to the ground and eyes open for that news. The Tolkien biopic, which is equally as exciting, like legitimately equally as exciting. I'm just as amped for this movie as I am for that show to come out. May 10th is the official nationwide, maybe even worldwide, I don't know, release date. There is an early release on May 7th. And if you haven't seen any of the clips, please go follow them on Instagram. Go check out. I'm sure they have a Facebook page. I've just been seeing the clips on the Instagram account, and they're amazing. And the cool thing that has been brought to light is this is really going to focus on. I didn't think they'd be able to pull it off and make it this interesting, but the language. We played. Yeah. We played we're going to play 3 clips in that future episode with Jimmy Nichols that highlight influences and in the ways language plays such a key role in this world. And let's not forget that first came his love of languages. When he was 13 or 14 years old, he started just creating his own. Yeah. Before stories even came about, there was language. And then he thought, I need a world for this language to exist in. And that's what drove the creation of Middle-earth. So I'm glad that this movie is. I would love to know the involvement of the Tolkien estate too. Yeah, we should do some digging. If you're out there and you like doing that kind of research, find that out for us. Let us know, because I'm sure that they have had, especially since it's representing, obviously, the paterfamilias. You got to get that right.
Yeah, who all was involved and who do they talk to and that kind
and what kind of information were they given and details but I mean even just those scenes between he and Edith. Yep. The hand and the touch.
Oh my
Hello.
gosh, yeah.
I mean like the chemistry between those two actors.
Inspired. Yeah.
We're looking at Beren and Luthien, and that's what it should be, because the love was real and it was a motivator for Tollers. Yep. So anyway, that's exciting. Let us know where you're going to watch it. We still have to figure out a place, but we are going to go, and then we want to meet with people afterwards if they're available, and we're just going to make a whole event out of it. We might even do some Facebook Living from wherever we are and get people's reactions. Right. Very exciting. Yep. In other corners of Middle-earth, the long-expected party is 5 months away, but man, I can almost see the wagons rolling up the street right now. Me too. Little dwarves with fireworks, maybe a wizard or two. It's pretty crazy. We got Sherston on board. We've got the Joneses, the Shire Rats, Philip. It's like the whole gang is coming, guys. Yep. Phil Seidel, is he coming too? Is Calais going to show up? I mean, I don't know, guys. Knows? It's kind of exciting that way, but we see all the time. I think Susie just posted. I just booked a you know,
yeah.
a B&B in Amanda, and I've got my reservation. So people are, Philip Willis is staying in Circleville, you know, Round Town, just down the street.
Right down the road, yep.
Very exciting. We're kind of like thinking about it compared to last year. Sarah was like, how many people? It's going to be amazing. Or the whole yard's going to be full. So
bring a lawn chair.
Yeah. Bring a tent too, if you want to camp out.
Yeah.
So awesome. So we want to do a congrats to our dear friend Kala, who just posted that he has found his Goldberry, and that's very exciting to hear. Kala is, I mean, we love him. We love him. We love all you guys. So anyway, the next question is: have you received any applications for Mrs. Kirk lately? What's the situation? You mentioned at the top of the segment here, but have you had any responses?
And here's the thing: I think it's just something you have to know about me. Like, was I supposed to make an application and have all these different sections for you to fill out? Yeah, I was, but
will that be in the next Bywater post?
But
maybe.
But here's the thing: I'm also thinking, like, just send me your resume. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just send me your resume.
Just the resume. Somebody, qualities, but also
somebody has their work experience.
Body of work. Here it is.
Oh my gosh!
Maybe some detriments as well. Like I snore. I don't know.
Right.
I don't like Lord of the Rings, which that would be.
Holy smokes!
Some people, that's okay.
I'm not into missionary dating. Okay, so I won't have to convert somebody to be an upper.
Trying to save her.
I'm kidding.
And then, of course, we got the unexpected candle from Rachel and the Texas Candle Cakery. Go check that out. Giveaway coming soon, but go order yours. It's the perfect companion piece for your reread.
Yeah, we got one right here. Little blackberries.
Little blackberries. Oh, and that's kind of a limited set. You can't go order that one. It's exclusive to just us.
You're gonna have to come here and sniff on it.
And then also, of course, if you want to get an unexpected podcast coaster from Travis at Weird Leather and Meadery, go to their website, type in the promo code UPWYRD, UPWYRD.
What'd you call me?
And get the whole kit and caboodle for $10, shipped right to your door. Awesome craftsmanship from our uppers. And if any of you other uppers have, I know Emma Rose Kolk does stitching, like hand needlework of.
Yep.
I don't know what it's called. I'm terrible, but they are beautiful. She's doing like duos of characters. She's got like Merry and Pippin, Frodo and Sam, and they are so cool. I kind of would love her to do one of you and me.
Okay,
that we could put in the studio.
That'd be cool.
Like Goldberry and Winnie,
yes.
throw Charlotte in someone's arms. Anyway, that's if any of you have specific businesses like that, where you do either like tie-in products for our book club or whatever, let us know. We'll work you into the rotation. We'll get the word out so that people can get those products in their hands. Yeah.
Hey, and huge shout out, by the way, to Jen Shepard.
Yes.
She does a lot of work with the newsletter.
Yes, she does.
And she puts up with me, being busy and running around like a crazy person. So Jen,
the Wizard's always busy.
I love you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And we do appreciate all the work that she does there and keeping us kind of organized. The Shire Rats have done. We got cool things coming too with the website and things. Yep. Yeah, so a lot of cool stuff. It just takes time to get it all out. We want to do it, the right way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. All right, that concludes our longest opening segment. You remember Joe Pesci in Home Alone? How he would swear, fresh and from it. It's like, how do we have him swear but also keep this a PG rating?
Just like
Joe Pesci would be a good dwarf.
Yes.
Joe Pesci would have been a good Radagast.
Yes, he would have.
Can I throw that out there?
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey, Gandalf, what you doing over here, man?
Hey, man. Yeah.
In my neck of New York, yeah? Why don't you get out of here? Why don't you get your little staff and walk out of here?
I haven't seen that in forever.
Great film.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress.
You do. And it's your last aside. Okay? So, all right, friends. Well, hey, we said at the top of the show, we were excited. It just feels good to be back. I guess, like, to have a chapter like this, to be inspired. It's all kind of working out at the same time here because this chapter kind of does.
It's all come to a head in 8 eyes. You know what I mean? Finally.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been so much build up and anticipation, and now we finally get some. We've had this lurking suspicion that Gollum is treacherous. No confirmation. We've had this idea that we're going to the Dark Terror. We don't know what the heck that is.
Right.
Faramir's word of warning are still ringing in our ears, but it's far distant. We're always narrowly on the verge of even just the stairs.
Oh,
we're like inches from falling off, but we need something to happen here. And we finally get it. You hear all these, tiebacks to the Barrow Downs this chapter too, and you get the same feeling.
Yeah, you do.
We're transported back, and it's in the same creep factor is here.
Right. The only other sense that is stimulated more in this chapter than the one in the Barrow Downs is your sense of smell.
Absolutely.
So be ready for that. Hopefully you can.
And if you haven't, hopefully you haven't forgotten.
If you have,
then you're not listening.
You need to go back a few episodes. All right. You definitely skipped ahead. All right. But yeah, I mean, there's a strong smell. It's getting stronger and it's getting stronger.
Yeah.
And as they dive into this tunnel, and we even get, Gollum kind of talking about this is the entrance to the tunnel. The thing he doesn't speak, is the name of this tunnel.
Dude, and just the imagery right off the bat is just unbelievable. Yeah, the name of the tunnel is Shelob's Lair or Torek Ungol.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just doesn't sound like a very nice place without even hearing the translation, which means tunnel of the spider.
Yeah.
So very literal. It just sounds like you got something caught in your throat and you're about to hawk it up on somebody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so
harsh sound.
This is the deception here. I mean, so when we turn as a reader, you turn to this and you see, Shelob's lair, right? Yeah. And you're like, oh crap! Do they just stumble into this on accident?
Yeah.
Was Gollum actually trying to help us here?
Yeah.
It tells you right in the beginning that it was a name he didn't want to speak. Yeah. So that deceit is right there from the get-go. So and then Frodo even asks, "Is this the only way?"
Yeah.
Smeagol.
Yeah.
Come on, man, help a couple couple hobbits out here. This is not. It doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good.
No.
And it's a little too. You can tell there's that quiet eeriness.
Yep.
Going on.
And Smeagol, I don't know if this is some kind of foreboding or me just seeing the number everywhere. Yes, he answered. Yes.
Yep.
How many yeses? 3 yeses.
You're seeing it
the before the cock crows 3 times, you'll deny me.
That's right. Yeah.
So I mean, that number is everywhere, dude.
Right.
But yeah, the smell. You're right. And Sam sniffing the air and saying it's getting stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're impressed too that he has come this way. Like you've been in there before.
You mean to say you've crawled through this hole?
And you know what? You find out at the end of this chapter, he's taking a little too much credit for just passing through there.
Yeah, he wasn't telling from a certain point of view.
Yes.
To since we're going on the Star Wars theme here.
True.
And dude, we learned and there's actually a really cool connection that I have that popped out to me. I don't have it popped out to me. To when we first see Gollum, way back in Emyn Muil, when we see him for the first time, and it ties to this whole. What we see is a worshiping of Shelob.
Yes.
Shelob is Gollum's god.
Yep. Yeah. Or is he posing? I was also wondering, is he
oh, okay, maybe.
No. I mean, he does. It does say that. It does say that. But then I kind of thought, really?
Yeah.
Well,
and the way I took that was, he's probably wouldn't be very delicious.
No.
And he's tiny, so maybe Shelob's like, whatever. I'll let this. We learn about her kind of sense of evil and almost kind of sense of dark humor. Maybe she's amused at this little.
Well, she's got enough orcs passing through there, and you get this tidbit. We're jumping all around, which is
sorry.
Great. No, it's great because
lots of tunnels.
Things I wanted to talk about were and as they come up, I think we should talk about them. Sauron wanted there's an agreement. There's an unspoken agreement.
Send some orcs your way, prisoners.
If some of the orcs get in there, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're this force to be reckoned with on those stairs.
Yeah.
So it's really helping us keep those. Yeah. I don't have to put a lot of my resources there because you're there.
Yeah.
And it's mutually
convenient for him.
Yeah. There's a relationship there.
Symbiosis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. And I started to think too about, because we're just going to talk about Gollum here and his relationship with Shelob.
Yeah.
And that he, I guess, he ultimately worships the ring.
Yeah, true.
But it does say that he worships her in some regard. So is she a being that can be appeased in this way? Mm-hmm. Or as you say, is she just toying with him and he's also toying with, it's a game.
Yes.
It's sort of this game. He says, I can bring you back nice, tasty, juicy hobbitses, It's
almost,
how did he get through the first time?
It's almost kind of like a Grima Saruman thing.
Yeah.
A little bit. a little bit like just this guy will be, I don't know, maybe we're reading too much into it, but
no, yeah,
he goes on to talk about this like almost in a sense worship of this great being, so
yeah,
I don't know.
All right, so as we head on into the tunnel here, it's their breath, it gets harder and harder to breathe.
Yep.
And actually everything, imagine like, I don't know if it's the earth or rock, or if there's a mixture of that in this tunnel, because I think of a tunnel kind of going through earth as well, and not just only like hewn out rock. It's not just a cave.
Yeah.
And also there's a lot of I don't know what it would be. I'm just trying
moisture
to get the texture.
And some.
Because what is it that dampens the sound of their voices? You know, like they can barely get it out because it's such a heavy. Feel, and the air is heavy, the stench is heavy in there.
Remember the fog on the Barrow Downs?
Yes.
When Frodo tried to call out and he felt like it was snuffed away from him right away.
Right.
And it's the same kind of atmosphere, I guess, really. So that's some foreboding there. But he even talks about like they haven't seen this kind of dark since Moria.
Sure.
It's for sure. The Lightless Passage, not since the Lightless Passages of Moria had Sam, but you're right, because of that. The feeling of the air deeper and denser. Talks about, in Moria, the airs were moving and there were echoes. You had this sense of space. And here it's heavy and stagnant and dead, more claustrophobic. And there's a lot more.
Literally, that's exactly what it said. Still stagnant, heavy.
Yep.
Sound fell dead.
That's where I got it from when I was reading it.
I know, you were.
Very original.
I wanted to reinforce what you're saying. No, so yeah, and as you say, they're groping in the dark. They don't have Gandalf there to kind of, add a little light, to the tunnel here. So, and they forget that they have their own light source, which we'll come back to.
Yeah,
but because they're feeling along the way. It says it's wide enough that they both were standing abreast, and that as they reach their hand, they can still fully extend their arm out,
touch the edges of it,
and touch the edge of the tunnel. So. They stick together. There's a really cool point too where they hold hands in this.
Yes.
And I can only imagine, like, heck yeah, I'm going to hold someone's hand in here because I can't see anything.
Yeah.
You could turn around and they're gone.
Yeah.
And you have to use, senses that you're not maybe as attuned with, that being sight or sound and smell and touch and whatever, to figure out what's going on. So,
and even if you can't really, if you're realizing that the air's so thick, you wouldn't be able to call out to each other. You wouldn't hear. So you'd have to maintain that.
Yeah. So now Gollum goes ahead. He goes first. Bold.
Yeah.
Right? Or is
well
it
planned?
Well planned. Yeah. So he goes on ahead first, and it's like his hissing and the gasping. It seems to kind of after a while they lose track of him. And before they had gone very far, perhaps. But time and distance soon passed out of reckoning. Sam on the right, feeling the wall, was aware that there was an opening at the side.
Man, can you just imagine that too?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So they're in here. They're feeling their way through. And Sam, several times he does feel the wall, and he's aware of an opening. But he also will sense that someone is looking at them, or that he has a feeling that these things are there.
Yes.
Can't actually see it, but he feels that.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it says for a moment he caught a faint breath of some air less heavy, and then they passed it by. So just like these passages that kind of go off randomly. And then you got to be thinking like, hopefully there's not one right in front of us that we could like fall down. Like they're all off to the side, thankfully. But man, then your head would start playing games. And you'd be like, oh, geez, or there could be a hole anywhere.
Actually,
be more cautious.
Yeah, as we do the reread, sometimes it's nice to read a couple chapters ahead, because now I'm looking at this saying, later on, one of those passageways, because this is very early, you find out that the orcs have their own way.
Yeah,
they have their own kind of, So I wonder if that was one of those
that they made. Yes,
yeah,
and that she would cut off and use and corrupt.
Yeah.
I think it even talks about this chapter about how they would would make their own or try to get around her by making tunnels.
Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so. Let's see. As they thrust forward, they felt things brush against their head or against their hands, long tentacles or hanging growths, perhaps.
Yeah.
They could not tell what they were. Yeah. And still the stench grew. So I'm imagining, if from what we know about Shelob, what are these things hanging, that around them, like that they're bumping into?
Webs
or bodies or whatever. So that stench of death is there. Gosh. And it's pretty rank.
Yeah, it is. Not a hole you want to be climbing down into.
Yeah, I remember exactly. So at length, Frodo, groping the left-hand wall, came suddenly to this void. So there's this place. It's like this emptiness.
You know, I had a something here too. Sorry,
Sure.
we were just describing the stench of this whole. You know, the atmosphere. It's like dark. It's foreboding. It's black. It's smelly. It's oozy. And I'm thinking, I thought back all the way to the Hobbit in the opening chapter. You know, not a hole full of oozy smells and ends of worms and all that stuff. This is the exact opposite of a Hobbit hole.
Yeah.
Like any other time, like if this is back at the Shire and this is a Hobbit hole, and we're climbing in for comfort.
Yep.
We're climbing in here, and it's the most uncomfortable situation in the world.
And you would think hobbits would be comfortable
underground,
in a tunnel or in a hole.
And this is just an interesting juxtaposition of
no, it is.
those two.
Definitely is. Okay, that's neat. Yeah. So as they move down through this tunnel, though, that void that they feel, this sense, it's like almost like imagine if there were a door like this is like you could knock and Shelob would answer on the other side, like they're that close. I mean, like maybe she's not home right now, whatever, but the stench seemed to grow right there. And it was so that was a place lurking with malice so intense that Frodo reeled. So he and Sam kind of fall over each other a little bit. Yeah. So anyways, it's so bad that they decide, they kind of rush it, don't they? They kind of, now for it, quick, let's go.
Yeah. Up.
Yeah. Yep. Up. Yeah. And they take they're
like
counting.
stumbling and they feel drowsy and
look at this. As you say, the number 3 is popping up, right? 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps.
There it is. Yes,
sir. And at last they finally get to their 6th step, and it just seems like it takes so much for them to get beyond that place. It's like it's more than just the stench or the heaviness or whatever.
There's a power.
Yeah.
There's
something.
There.
There's something ancient and evil, that has a will of its own, I would say.
Yeah.
But so the tunnel does fork, and as we said, there's a lot of these offshoots and things, but the main part of the tunnel here does fork, and so they have to kind of decide which way, left or right.
Yeah, and the severity hits them here too. They're like, there's no way to know which one's right, but if we choose the wrong one, it'll be fatal.
Yep,
is what they say.
Yeah, yep, and that's when they realize, where's our guide? Yeah, we're supposed to be being guided through this tunnel. Yeah, Smeagol / Gollum is gone. Yep, and Frodo even tries to yell for him. Nothing doing. He can't. That barely gets out of his lips before it falls dead.
And even just his word choice. You were talking about word choice, right? Even his word choice here. So, like off to the margins here, I just have written like awesome build up, amazing rising action. The tension is heightening, and even like just using words like but his voice croaked, another word for dying, and the name fell dead, almost as if it left his lips. Just it's like his language is saturated in words that are used for meeting your end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, they are.
It's like this is a path of doom that we're getting into, and something. So a little aside here. My last aside. Definitely not.
We're making a shirt, by the way.
I read this chapter, and I've only read one Stephen King book in my life.
Yeah.
And he's an author I've always been fascinated with because he is so dark and creates such an atmosphere. But like I'm reading this chapter. And it made me think of the Barrow Downs. It also made me think of reading Stephen King. Yeah. And I'm like, Stephen King had to have sat down at one point, read Shelob's Lair, read Barrow Downs, and been like, yeah, this is the feel I'm going for. Yep. Don't you feel that way? Like I feel like there is this, we're powerless against this doom, and we're almost being toyed with in the same way, like how spiders they play with, you're caught in a web, and then you're waiting there until the spider chooses to come and get you. Yep. And that's what Tolkien is doing to us, and that's what's happening to our characters,
and we feel that.
Yes, and that's what's been happening all these chapters. Yeah, this lead up to this.
Well, we often say that like
I'm excited, bro.
I know. We often say like our lives kind of parallel the chapters. Where it's because we just read the chapter and we actually still feel the way that our characters feel. Yeah. And that just bleeds over in, to the podcast because, we're excited because of the action that happens in this chapter. But at the same time, the last several, we were sort of dragging. Oh my gosh. And we were like, what?
Are we ever going to make it?
We started to get tired with our characters. Yeah. We started to not have the energy. Yes. And it's like now we're lost a little bit here. Yeah. I totally do feel like, where's this going to come from? Like we're in danger. And
tantalized.
I get that a lot. So, he does a good job of really putting us in the moment and making us feel what the characters are feeling. So,
yes, he does.
Now, as they move forward again, can't find Gollum or Smeagol, but they do figure out that I think it's the left side is blocked. There's some blocking. There's stones, and so they, right or wrong, they must take the other passageway, and so they feel about and they end up heading down that way. Sam realizes though, he says that we have to go quick. He's panting. He said, "There's something worse than Gollum about. I can feel something looking at us."
Yep.
That's not good,
Yeah.
So now here's the I'm gonna go
next
and read
paragraph.
This.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So they had not gone more than a few yards. From behind them came a sound, startling and horrible in the heavy padded silence, a gurgling, bubbling noise, and a long, venomous hiss.
Get out of here.
Yeah. They wheeled around, but nothing could be seen. This is one of my favorite lines in the chapter right here, because just listen to the alliteration here. So, still as stones, they stood staring, waiting, for they did not know what.
That's a synopsis of this chapter.
It is 100% right there. Still as stones, they stood staring,
beautiful.
waiting, for they did not know what. It's beautiful,
and
it's also
that,
scary as all get out.
Talk about that alliteration too. That is like a hissing.
Yes, it is. Yes,
which
great point.
is what Gollum does, and it's also what apparently Shelob does as well. So, gross.
So Admiral Akbar was not the only one to proclaim that it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Sam did it first.
Yes, he did, man.
Okay, it's a trap.
And is that a T-shirt idea?
I mean, seriously, I think we should actually I'm not even joking. I heard that and I laughed out loud. I was like, George, you took inspiration from a lot of different things.
Let's do Akbar with that speech bubble, and Sam standing next to him, just kind of like giving him the side eye. Like, bro,
like seriously,
it's my line.
That was my line, and you took it. It's a trap, said Sam, and he laid his hand upon the hilt of his sword, and as he did so, he thought of the darkness of the barrow whence it came. I wish old Tom was near us now, he thought. Man. Then as he stood, darkness about him and the blackness of despair and anger in his heart, it seemed to him that he saw a light in his mind. A light in his mind. Almost unbearable, bright at first, as a sun ray to the eyes of one long hidden in the windowless pit. So here we go. So you start to see these kind of these colors, this green and gold and silver and white far off, and he sees Lady Galadriel.
All right, I don't want to. Okay,
explain it to me.
No, I don't want to make a. I think we've been on record as way back as kind of at least asking questions about who Tom really is. Okay, there's a lot of different powerful names that they could have called out there or said, I wish, and it's very interesting. So is it just because this atmosphere reminds not just Frodo and not just us, but both Frodo and Sam of the Barrow Downs, which was a situation that Tom saved them from. So is that why he calls out Tom? Why does Sam say, I wish Tom was here? Not I wish Gandalf was here. Not I wish old Strider was here, which he's said before. Not I wish, I don't know, old Mr. Bilbo was here. Right? He says, I wish Tom was here. And upon uttering that name, that word of command, if you will.
Yep.
Probably not. Don't crucify me for that. I'm sorry.
I won't.
Upon that, he has this vision of a light, and the light leads to Galadriel, and that leads him to remembering this gift. Yeah. But the trigger is thinking of Tom.
Yeah.
What is that, dude?
I don't know.
What do you think this is? Tell me what you think this is.
I mean, it is interesting that I don't know what powers Tom has,
But I saw you smirking as I was saying that, right? Like, I mean, that's the thought, part of the thought, right?
The thought is, too, why, as you said it very well, why not call out some other great hero's name or think that you wish that they were here? I'll tell you why, is because if you were to level these, rank these guys in terms of power and feeling, not that we would ever do that.
No.
But
one could.
One could. And you see in this moment, and again, it could be just the parallel to the nature. It seems like the Barrows, and so that's on his mind.
Maybe it's the smell, similar smell.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Same type of situation, type of thing. Being hunted by something, it seems like, right? So, but Tom can do anything as far as they know. They don't know. Like, the ring had no power over him.
No power.
He
nameless, fatherless.
he would know how to deal with this creature, 100%.
Yeah, he would.
He would easily,
Time to go to sleep.
easily, yeah, and say what's the big deal here, fellas? Move on. I gotta get back to old Goldberry. All right, you guys, you little hobbits are getting in a lot of trouble. Okay, like come on, and that's just how like simple it would be for him. Yeah. And I almost wonder, we don't know what his powers are, but he does think of the Lady Galadriel. And I'm not trying to say that maybe the thought of Tom, that Sam's thought of Tom reached Tom and then Tom reached out to Galadriel, but maybe. And I'm also saying, too, that like there are these other powers at work. And, it also is just people who are impressionable.
Yes.
Or, I'm sorry, who leave an impression on you,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And so he remembers Galadriel.
Yes.
And you're thinking back, you're going through this recall of like,
she is the Lady of Light.
Yeah,
right?
and all these wise people. He probably would have got to Gandalf eventually. If there's nothing from Tom, there's nothing from Galadriel, then I'm going to go to somebody else. But no, wait, let's stop right there. Galadriel had something for us, And you, ring bearer, he heard her say, remote but clear, for you I have prepared this. And so he says, Master. And the life and the urgency came back into his voice. The lady's gift, the star glass, a light to you in dark places. She said it was to be the star glass. The star glass, muttered Frodo, as one answering out of sleep, hardly comprehending. Why, yes. Why, I had forgotten it. Why had I forgotten it? A light when all their lights go out. And now, indeed, light alone can help us. It's interesting. It's just so interesting. And it's like... It's twofold, what causes those memories to come back, and would Frodo have had that, would he have ever come to that, conclusion himself without Frodo? Is that one of the themes, is that they need each other, because we're going to see here at the end, Sam's, we'll see next chapter 2, really, the choices he has to make. But wow, I don't know, it's epic. It's a subtle, cool little mention, but I think it does, and we were talking about too, when people were, deciding who would come back and save the day.
Yeah.
When would Tom come back?
Yeah, as the editors
were reading, they kept saying, "Oh, this is where Tom's coming in."
Yeah.
He said he couldn't leave but he can.
But he can.
And he can.
And we've had people who I love when we get into this discussion, because there are people who will argue he actually never does. But he's been debris, guys. So, it's not in his area.
Yeah, he just picks and chooses.
And what was his area originally? It was a lot bigger.
Yeah, it was.
Because the deforestation has happened.
Yes, it was. So it's just, it's kind of cool, because you kept thinking, when is he going to show up? And so there'll be more situations later too where, is he coming now?
Yeah.
No, you're on your own. We give you this great presence, this thing that can do so much stuff, and you're like, that guy's going to save us later on. And that's not how it works.
Unexpected.
It's unexpected.
Oh, yeah.
You have to do this on your own.
And I love this little scene here too, because it's a very rich parallel to when they're in that barrow. And the arm is reaching in,
right,
reaching for the sword or something, to kind of put an end to these hobbits. Mm-hmm. And it's that primal sense of danger that awakens Frodo, almost as if from a dream. And he remembers the words of Tom, and then he sing the song, right, that brings Tom back. Isn't that how it happens?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's almost the same exact thing that happens here. It's like Sam is given this thought out of whatever, and he almost as if they're both awakened out of a dream, and they're able. Oh, that's an awesome illustration, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Given the memory to summon the light of Arendelle out of this file that ends up saving them.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Ooh.
It's yeah, you're right. It's amazing. Let me see here. So now he has to get the vial out. Right, he's got to get the file out. He's got to get Galadriel's light, and so he reaches in, and Frodo gazed in wonder at the marvelous gift that he had so long carried, not guessing its full worth and potency. And so he pulls it out, and he starts speaking in, Elvish. I mean,
and this is awesome, because in the film they put this in here. Mm-hmm. Elijah Wood says, "Aya Arendelle Elonian and Kalima," and then the light just. Right, he cried and knew not what he had spoken. That's the other that's the thing we don't get from the film. We think, all right, it's something that Frodo remembers from Galadriel. It's something that he knew. No, he didn't even know. As if another voice spoke through his clear, untroubled by the foul air of the pit.
Yeah. What is that?
Like, and we're so consumed with like our quest and being surrounded by this evil that it's like, Lord bless us.
Lord bless us.
Finally, we have these moments where goodness possesses us instead of evil. Right. Where, higher powers, whether that's Arendil, whether that's Galadriel giving him the words, whether that's Tom, whether that's Gandalf, whatever, or whether it's Eru Ilúvatar himself, right? Like speaking these words through Frodo because all this, the hope of this quest is all on the edge of this knife right here at this moment.
Yeah.
Jeez, dude.
Choices, yeah. Who was it that decides to? Yeah,
decision versus destiny.
Yeah,
or is it both?
Yep. So, anyways, really, really interesting.
I'm so
stuff.
happy to be here with you. Just so you know.
Me too. Woo! All right, so it's cool that he's got it out, and he's using this gift that Galadriel gave to him. You now then we get to see the many windowed eyes. We get to see the light kind of reflecting off of this creature. She walked in the darkness and heard the elves cry. Cry far back in the deeps of time, and she had not heeded it, and it did not daunt her now.
Right.
Now that's interesting.
Yes, it is.
So that's a little scary.
The power of Shelob, right? And just like her spirit, which is shrouded in mystery. There's a lot of people who kind of theorized that she was a Maiar? And that she was this spirit, but that it's really unconfirmed. She doesn't really have a solid, much like Tom. Backstory and origin.
That's what's assumed. To those early ages. And so she's a remnant. And
and an offspring of Ungoliant, who we know was also the same kind of deal. It was one of Morgoth's little like cronies, who she's not listed among the Ainur, right? But she may have been a Maiar or a lesser spirit who was corrupted. So
absolutely.
Ooh, man.
Yeah. Yep. So they're up against a pretty big foe. I mean, you look at like what Gandalf went up against with the Balrog, and you could almost say parallel. That this is and thank goodness they have these gifts. And
wow,
the foresight,
a great parallel.
The foresight of Galadriel.
Oh wow!
To think that they're. I mean, they should be no match. They should be no match at all. But it's the determination, the willpower of these hobbits, especially Sam later on. And Frodo, as you pointed out too, is a big hero. Yeah. They're horse stricken. Suddenly they're suddenly released from the holding spell. So suddenly released from the holding spell to run a little while in vain panic for the amusement of the eyes. So they actually turn and they flee together. And actually, Frodo looks back and realizes there's nothing for this. And he cries out, "Stand! Running is no use." And slowly they turn back, and he cries out, "Galadriel,
dude!" And
it's huge. He's making his stand here.
Can I read the description of those eyes too?
Yeah.
Because it blew me away. Not far down the tunnel, this is going back a couple paragraphs. Not far down the tunnel between them and the opening, there they had reeled and stumbled. So for not without reason, he was aware of eyes growing visible, 2 great clusters of many windowed eyes. The coming menace was unmasked at last. Wow. You could also kind of say that that's a synopsis for this chapter as well. The radiance of the star glass was broken and thrown back from their 1,000 facets. So also interesting, like this good light is taken in by these eyes and like distorted and like shattered back at them. Like the light is broken by the eyes.
Yeah.
And you think about a reflection. If there's more eyes, there's going to be more It's just, oh my gosh, what a visual.
Yeah.
The thrown back 1,000 facets, but behind the glitter, a pale, deadly fire began steadily to glow within. A flame kindled in some deep pit of evil thought. Monstrous and abominable eyes they were, bestial and yet filled with purpose and with hideous delight, gloating over their prey, trapped beyond all hope of escape.
Yeah.
There you go, Stephen King. I think you've used that before. Like,
yeah, I think he has.
I mean, my gosh.
Right. You said the word unmasked, and it made me think of a conspiracy between Smeagol and Shelob being unmasked here. So they're really seeing the true evil that they've run into.
Yes,
but yeah,
back to what you were saying. Time to make a stand.
Time to
right?
make the stand,
Yeah.
right? And so, then in Frodo's heart, his heart flamed from within. And without thinking what he did,
Yeah.
whether this was folly or despair or
Yep.
courage, he took the file in his left hand,
Yeah.
and with his right, he drew his sword.
This is our hero shot, isn't it?
This is it, man.
Yep.
Sting flashed out, and the sharp elven blade sparkled in the silver light, and at its edges, a sharp, blue kind of like fire flicked. So we see that blue glow coming back, telling us that danger is near.
Yeah.
And orcs are
almost
all
like
around.
stronger than we've ever seen it before too, because of the power of Shelob, right? Like
Yep.
because of the pure evil.
Yep. Yeah. So man, he's holding that thing aloft, and actually,
Dude, and that it sounds like it's a hype up, man. That next line, then holding the star aloft and the bright sword advanced, Frodo, Hobbit of the Shire, walked steadily down to meet the eyes.
yeah.
It's like a gunslinger moment, right? Like in an old
absolutely.
western. It's like, here we go. It's a showdown.
Yeah, and it really is in some ways like this is the last thing. Most of the time, her enemies her prey are fleeing before her. They're not turning around all this and maybe facing her down. Yeah, so that she's shook.
She's out of practice. She
Yeah.
hasn't had to fight like this.
Right.
And then the power of the blade too, man.
Yeah.
Like in the Destiny there, like if Bilbo never would have found it, if he never would have decided to give it to Frodo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, so still approaching. Still at approach though, the eyes began to quail one by one. They all went dark. They turned away, and a great bulk beyond the light's reach heaved its huge shadow in between. They were gone. So as he stands, his ground and kind of throws that light forward, was able to kind of send Shelob back. Yeah. So, and Sam's like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So he's sort of, stars in glory, but the elves would make a song of that. So he's talking about, master, he was close behind, his own sword drawn and ready, stars in glory, but the elves would make a song of that if ever they heard of it. And may I live to tell them and hear them sing. But don't go on, master. Don't go down to that den. Now's our only chance. Now let's get out of this foul hole. So, I mean, just that epic moment of turning back and facing him, facing Shelob, down, and then let's get out of here. Cool.
Yeah.
We'll make a song of that later, but we've got to live to tell the tale.
Yeah.
So, let's see. They're getting out of here, and I think this is the bit where Shelob kind of rolls out and does what a spider does. This is her lair, and she knows it best. So okay, we were facing each other, and we had the showdown. Now she is going to try to catch them unaware. Toy with them a little bit more, maybe spring on them, from behind or from overhead.
Isn't it also kind of amazing too to think about this network of tunnels as also being a form of a web?
Yes.
It's like she can kind of maneuver around it. She could and I think at the end of the chapter it talks about how they didn't realize that she had many exits and entrances that and that's how she was able to kind of get ahead of Sam and get to Frodo, and just the whole idea that she can maneuver around. I love too how Tolkien refers to her as the Watcher, right?
Yeah.
Which is also kind of a hearkening back to the Watcher in the water outside of Moria.
Yes.
We've got some Moria references. Here's another one. And then eventually, I mean, I'll save it because it's jumping ahead. But yeah.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, so as they're on their way out here, back to your, power of three. 3 times Sam struck with all his force.
There it is.
And at last, one single cord of this countless, of the countless cords snapped and twisted. So they come upon a web, these spider webs, this cord. And he calls them cobwebs, and he kind of laughs, it off. But whoa, sword's not doing anything to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, he
hurts his arm, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. In 3 huge, swings, and just barely could get one cord.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll be here for days. Yeah. And so now they switch positions, and Frodo actually this is important, hands that Galadriel's file over to him, and he takes, Sting at the cobwebs, air quote.
Yeah.
And they come apart pretty easily for Frodo.
Yeah.
Which is good. So
it slices through him like butter, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Ancient Gondolian, right?
Yeah.
Gondolin. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's snaps through them, right? Exactly. So they clear the road. They're able to move forward. He goes, have they come back? The eyes, they're looking for them, and hadn't seen them. But still they're looking at me or thinking about me, making some other plan perhaps. If this light were lowered or if it failed, they would come quickly again.
Yeah.
And Sam says, trapped in the end, gnats in a net. Wow. May the curse of Faramir bite that Gollum and bite him quick. So, yeah, it's one of the things he had said, that when he travels back through his land, that if he were to, violate his word in some way, he's, Faramir's going to get him.
It doesn't even say, too, like if you lead him astray, I hope death finds you quickly. Like, exactly.
Doom. That's the curse.
Yeah.
Yep. Whew. So anyway, let's move on here just a little bit. So the rent was made, and they strode on through, around or through the cobwebs, and Frodo says, "Come on." Wild joy at their escape from the very mouth of despair suddenly filled all his mind. So he gets kind of consumed with. We're out. We're in the open. The air is not as heavy, and he just takes off.
Yeah, he's sort of filled with this like rush of adrenaline or something, right? And it's kind of blinding in a way.
He's in this euphoric state, and he just bolts, and he sees where he needs to get, and it's just right there.
Yep.
And before anything else happens, let's just get there. We've got this energy, and that actually is exactly what Shelob wanted.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
So Sam sees the creature, sees Shelob kind of come between. He and his master. So that was interesting, right? So he's actually going to have to deal with that. So Sam came up behind as fast as he could, urge his legs. But glad as he was to be free, he was uneasy as he ran. He kept on glancing back at the dark arch of the tunnel, fearing to see eyes or some shape beyond his imagining spring out in pursuit. Too little did he or his master know that the craft of Shelob. She had many exits from her lair.
Yeah. And then we get this kind of like little aside that tells us about the history of Shelob.
Yes.
And tells us, just so cool how he steps back here and says, you know what, I could put this in some other, appendix or I could put it in another, I'm sure it's in another tale somewhere too, but it's important enough that you need to know the history, because I won't have time to tell it later, the history of this spider and of Gollum.
Yeah.
And so just talks about how long that Shelob has lived here. And also like her origins, right? How she came from a child of Ungoliant to trouble the unhappy world. She was called Shelob the Great. That she had given birth to many spiders that we realized were the spiders that we encountered in the Hobbit. Yeah. Outside of the fortress of Dol Guldur and in Mirkwood, and how these spiders have been around a long, long time, yearning for the blood of elves and men. But they've been hungry lately. Shelob, especially up in this area, because of the growing power of Sauron. None of those tastier catches, I guess, try to come through her pass anymore. And then we talk a little bit about Gollum, right? Already years before, Gollum had beheld her, Smeagol who pried into all dark holes, and in past days he had bowed and worshipped her. And the darkness of her evil will walked through all the ways of his weariness beside him, cutting him off from the light and from regret. And he had promised to bring her food. But her lust was not his lust. Little she knew of or cared for towers or rings, or anything devised by the mind or hand, who only desired death for all others, mind and body, and for herself a glut of life alone, swollen till the mountains could no longer hold her up, and the darkness could not contain her. So also kind of interesting, he referred to her as the Watcher before, and we think about the Watcher in the water, and we've always kind of wondered, like, did the Watcher want the ring? Yeah. And it's almost like we kind of have, in a way, we have our answer here. Some things are older and more powerful than any of that stuff. Shelob doesn't care about it. She doesn't care about Sauron. She doesn't care about the ring. Right. She considers herself more powerful and above and separated from all of that.
Yep.
Yep. So a little aside here, my last aside. That like it's so that term of Smeagol bowing down and worshiping her, it took me all the way back, and I was like, because I've always been obsessed with like Andy Serkis talking about his inspiration. He said he modeled the voice and movements and stuff after his cats. But when we first, so I've always thought cat, and then we get a lot of comparisons to dog, right? He's kind of doggish, puppyish, whatever.
Yeah.
But when we first encounter Smeagol climbing down that wall in the Emyn Muil, he is likened to a spider.
Yeah.
So just like a spider, and I think of, if you worship something, you pattern yourself after that. He moves like a spider. He lives underground, deep in tunnels. He pries into dark holes. He is treacherous.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the way he followed the fellowship for so long, in the same way that Shelob here is following them and hunting them and choosing his moment, kind of a deal.
That's great. Yeah,
it's just crazy. So it talks about how, only orcs she had back to her background, only orcs she had lately, poor food and wary, but she must eat, however, and Gollum was promising to bring her sweeter meats. We'll see, he said often to himself when the evil mood was on him as he walked the dangerous road from Emmenwheel to Morgul Vale. We'll see. It may well be, oh yes, it may well be that when she throws away the bones and the empty garments, we shall find it, we shall get it, the precious, a reward for poor Smeagol. So kind of giving the background of his plan here, that he would lead them there, she would take care and eat the meal, and she'd throw everything else away. Right. And the ring is something that doesn't concern her anyway. It's back to him. So he thought in an inner chamber of his cunning, which he still hoped to hide from her, even when he had come to her again and bowed low before her while his companions slept. So we get an answer there. Where was he sneaking off to? He was going to see her.
That's right.
Crazy. And as for Sauron, he knew where she lurked. It pleased him that she would dwell there, hungry and unabated in malice, a more sure watch upon that ancient path into his land than any other that his skill could have devised. And orcs, they were useful slaves, but he had them in plenty. If now and again Shelob caught them to stay her appetite, so be it, kind of a deal. He could spare them, and sometimes as a man may cast a dainty to his cat, he calls her, but she owns him not. Sauron would send her prisoners. Sauron would send her prisoners that he had no better uses for. He would have them driven to her hole and report brought back to him of the play she made. So kind of like, dude, seriously, it's like when you let your cat catch a mouse and you're just kind of watching it and seeing how the cat does it, and just amazing. But how just the equal not disdain but disregard that Shelob has for Sauron as well. So they both lived delighting in their own devices and feared no assault nor wrath nor any end of their wickedness. Never yet had any fly escaped from Shelob's webs, and the greater now was her rage and hunger. So we're seeing here, it's like, okay, we think we're out of it. Wow. Well, that's quite a beast.
She's got a strong record.
Yeah, that's quite a track record, is what I was just going to say. And we're not out of it yet.
Right. Well, and so that's something that Sam, so all of that was, as you say, one big sort of aside to kind of tell us the backstory and all that history and the relationship between her and Sauron, and during that time they're still running, and Sam notices that Frodo is getting way ahead of him. Yeah, something's really driving him to move forward, and he looks on ahead and he sees orcs. Yeah. He's like, we'll never rush it like this. There's orcs about, worse than orcs. Then returning quickly to his long habit of secrecy, he closed his hand about the precious vial, which he still bore. And he tried to quicken his pace. His master was gaining on him. Already he was some 20 strides ahead.
Said his feet seemed leaden.
Yeah.
Like something was, some kind of power almost was, or whatever, spell was upon him and he couldn't run. Yeah, maybe just exhausted from, he wasn't having the same kind of rush of euphoria that Frodo was either,
Yep.
And just the thought that Frodo has that, like, it could be over now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like, I'm through it. I can see it. I can go do it now. I can get it over with, like, today.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would be great. Yeah. Yeah, so he's just rushing on, and then this is the horror that Sam has to witness, which is, that Shelob kind of comes out of this cliff. Yeah. A little way ahead, he saw suddenly issuing from a black hole of shadow under the cliff, the most loathly shape that he had ever beheld, horrible beyond the horror of an evil dream. And most like a spider she was, but huger than the great hunting beast, and more terrible than they because of the evil purpose in her remorseless eyes. So, he finally sees her bulk, how black she was, she's blotched with livid marks, but the belly underneath was pale and luminous and gave forth a gave forth a stench. Yeah. So I don't know. This is just a really interesting creature. And actually, they go on to talk later on about her underbelly and how strong it is, almost as strong as like a dragon's scales. So, anyways, Yeah. So she was between Sam and his master. Either she did not see Sam or she avoided him for the moment as the bearer of the light and fixed all of her intent upon one prey.
Yeah, kind of focused
Frodo.
on her meal.
Yeah. And so maybe she's also in that state of just like, I'm going to, she's got to know there was two of them, right?
Sure.
So would she make that mistake of, or maybe she's just overconfident, arrogant, just
Sure.
rushes forward and kind of.
And maybe she's thinking, well, I'll pick this one off and then I'll, the other one will be, I don't know, beside himself to be alone, and I'll get him too.
Mm-hmm.
He'll drop the light or something, and then he'll be mine too. Or maybe he knew that Gollum was going to get him from behind.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, sure.
And then then she could have him as well.
Yep. Yeah, because he saw.
Take the light.
He was
from
watching.
him.
He was watching. Gollum was watching all that go down, and man, didn't go the way he wanted to. So he follows to kind of pursue as well and help out.
Yep.
But Sam sees that Shelob is swifter than he, and in a few leaps that she's going to have Frodo. So he gasps.
Can you imagine that sight?
No, I can't.
He's your master. He's the one you're there to protect, and it's like it's Sam's worst fear.
Right. Exactly. And now you're able to cry out and actually try to. They don't have the heaviness on you, and you're about to. And as soon as you do, this long, clammy hand went over his mouth and caught him by the neck. And so this is where he and Gollum sort of have their match.
Got him.
Hissed Gollum in his ear.
At last, my precious. We've got him. Yes, the nasty Hobbit. He takes this one. She'll get the other. Wow.
Man, dude.
Yeah.
So much better than it happens in the film.
Oh yeah. And this is, Sam now is just enraged, just sudden violence and strength that was far beyond anything that Gollum had expected from his slow, stupid hobbit, as he thought of him. Not Gollum himself could have twisted more quickly or more fiercely. His hold on Sam's mouth slipped, and Sam ducked and lunged forward, trying to tear away from the grip on his neck. So he's trying to get his sword out too, as well. And he has Faramir's staff as well, so he uses that to kind of strike.
I had forgotten he
Gollum.
had that staff. Did you?
Me too. Totally
forgotten.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he grabbed, he's trying to hold his wrist and get rid of his sword. So this is real awesome back and forth here. And he's still got his finger. Gollum has his fingers tightly, gripped around Sam's neck.
Yep.
And he's got to get rid of that. And actually, what I visualize here is I think he strikes him a couple of times, with the walking stick.
Breaks it over his head.
Yeah, breaks it over his head. It actually breaks
or back
on his back, and then he has to he heaves himself backwards and uses his body weight to just
man.
boom.
Can't you just see this brawl?
Yes,
man.
Yeah.
Sam, he should have been a boxer or something. He'd been a great rugby player. I'll just tell you that much.
Yeah, and so it's like a simple trick, right? But Gollum didn't see it happening, and Gollum almost kind of curses himself for not
underestimating
him and speaking too many words and not just finishing it and doing it.
Yep, his pride got in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is again we see it. It's kind of the theme, isn't it? Is for both light and dark. When you become overconfident, when you become arrogant, when you think that you can't be defeated, that's when it happens. It happened with men. They let their watch go to the east, and evil was allowed to come back. It happens with Sauron, who thinks that no one would ever dare to bring the ring right into Mordor, and that's his downfall. It happens to Gollum here. He thinks, I've got, Shelob's got Frodo, I've got Sam here. Let me play with them a little bit. Yeah, I've got this. Right. It's always, and you think about the Hobbits. The Hobbits are the most underestimated race in Middle Earth. Right. Not even mentioned in some tales, right? And some lists
they're not
that the Ents told us about. And so, they're the ones who end up saving the world from evil.
Yep. I know. It's crazy. Yeah.
Great lesson that, any of us can do it.
Yeah.
The greater the underdog, the greater your, your overcoming can be.
Right. Sam's able to kind of, in the fight, and he swept his sword up from the ground, and Gollum actually ends up springing aside on all fours. He jumped away, and like a big frog, it says, he kind of bounds away before Sam could reach him. So he's off and running, and he gets away. So we'll come back to Gollum. I believe that'll be something that we'll see him later, as we know. But for the time being, he is off. Sam will think about him later as well too. So I'll read the last paragraph here, just as, to finish the chapter out here. Sword in hand, Sam went after him. For the moment, he had forgotten everything else but the red fury in his brain and the desire to kill Gollum. But before he could overtake him, Gollum was gone. Then, as the dark hole stood before him and the stench came out to meet him like a clap of thunder, The thought of Frodo and the monster smote upon Sam's mind. He spun round and rushed wildly up the path, calling and calling his master's name. He was too late. So far, Gollum's plot had succeeded. So, we can surmise that Shelob actually, got Frodo, and as he looks ahead, he's despairing because, well, it worked. Shelob has Master Frodo, and he was able to fend him off. He didn't kill Gollum, but now he's got to decide what to do. And so the next chapter we have is the choices of Master Samwise.
Yeah, quite a cliffhanger we're left on.
Yeah. Yes. So,
man,
it's exciting. It's a cool chapter. There's some solid, cool connections back to ages long past, and even beings who have been around for a long, long time. Galadriel, Tom, and others. So,
it's enough to make you want to start a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Is it?
I think it is.
Is it? Okay.
But the funny thing is, you gotta get the name
right.
Right. You gotta get the name right. If you don't get the name right,
then there's no reason.
Then you might as well not even start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any ideas off the top of your head?
Well, yeah. Let me see here. Let me see what I come up with.
Don't think too hard. Usually the best ideas come just off the top of the mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The Sometime Shelob's podcast. Sometimes She Lobs.
I like that.
Yeah.
The Sometimes She Keep podcast or catch.
Sometimes, yeah. She either lob or she catch. I don't know.
She lob or catch.
Yeah. Let's see. You mean you've been through this whole podcast? What?
Oh, I like that. How is whole spelled?
You've been, it's WH.
Oh my gosh.
OLE.
I like the play on the word there.
Been through this whole podcast.
Paraphrasing Sam, if you will.
Yeah.
How about the Stars and Glory podcast?
Stars and Glory, yeah.
Very, very American.
Exactly, yeah.
Kind of
very
actually.
patriotic, yeah.
Wow,
So,
all right.
yeah.
Well,
Getting close.
getting close. One of these days.
Yeah.
Someday. It's a pipe dream, really.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, in all seriousness, we'll get there.
Well, man, that was awesome. I don't know. That chapter got me excited again. It got me hyped up. It really kind of, again, is going to set the tone for our third act in books 5 and 6, which is there's in the words of movie Gandalf, the battle for Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle Earth is about to begin.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to jump right into, after our choices here, this next chapter, we jump right into Minas Tirith, and then we've got the assault on, or the launch from Osgiliath and the Pelennor Fields, and the great battle, and Rohan marching, and some assault on the Black Gate kind of thing, and wow, the War of the Ring in full will be. We haven't even gotten there yet.
No, I know.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and I want to. I'm interested too, as I look back, is to see sort of what battles or what's taking place around the same time, because I kind of forget, what's going on. So
the timeline. Yeah, right. What is it? Peter Jackson explained it because he talked about how people would think his timeline in the film was different, but it was actually not. Said something about the assault on Minas Tirith happening at the same time as Frodo and Sam entering Shelob's lair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Let me ask you though.
Yeah.
So there's two ways it happened. It happened in the film with Frodo saying, "Go home, Sam. I don't need you anymore." And then it happened this way with that never happening, and Frodo and Sam being together the entire time. And which do you feel was more powerful, the film version or the book version of Shelob's Lair?
The book.
Yeah, me too.
100%.
Kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yes, no-brainer.
I mean, I guess you could argue that Frodo's by himself. It's more dramatic. Like it's even one more choice for him to regret that he sent Sam away, and then at one point he says, "Oh, Sam, you were right." Because you got Gollum toying with him, and he's like, all alone.
Yeah.
But I think it's even scarier that you're with your best friend. And then you have that moment at the end where Sam is witnessing the very thing that he is there to protect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That was what I was gonna say, is that when it's a whole other layer, right? Is that your friend or your companion is in trouble? So. Yeah, it could just be we're invested in Frodo. We're upset because he's in peril and he dismissed Sam, or it's like they're still together and there's nothing Sam can do at this point.
Right.
It's like,
It's almost scarier, isn't it?
what do you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
So because you're in his shoes, thinking like, what would I do? I don't that. What do you do?
You're in the same exact bad position as your partner.
How are you going to overcome this?
Right. And in some points there's nothing really they could do to work together. They're both blind. They're both like stricken. How are they supposed to work together when their senses are numbed, as the book says? I don't know. This is a weird little aside, but it's my last one.
Mm-hmm.
But like visually, even like in the film, when they talk about coming out of that, out of the lair, and that kind of that opening where Sam sees in the distance Frodo, sprinting, and then Shelob kind of bounding over. In the film, it's a smaller area than I imagined in my mind from the book. Like in my mind, I imagine this huge kind of like almost crater or like cleft between, two like kind of mountain, I don't know, spines. But it's much more open. It's distant. Like you couldn't even if you wanted to call out to Frodo, it would take him a second to hear.
Yeah.
But in the film, it's a much more, it's more like a arena kind of deal.
Because you do see him to be much further away.
Yeah.
And like,
don't you?
Otherwise,
you're
otherwise you would sense, or, Shelob would sense him running or hear the scuffle and would know and be more on guard, I guess.
So just kind of an interesting thing. Like I just imagine, especially after being, maybe it's just in the book, you're in those tunnels for so long and you're like, oh my gosh, finally some air, and you imagine it bigger than it really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we got Bywater Post.
Yes, we
right.
do. So we have Jake Shull here, and I'll read the first part here, and then I'll pass this over to you. He's got a nice little poem at the end, which is interesting.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, so stay tuned for
Love that.
He says, Dear Lane and Ezra, I know you may dread reading all of this, but
Stop.
I appreciate it.
That's not true.
Yeah. It says, sorry for grammar. Well, wait till this next episode when you hear our good friend Jim Nichols talk about grammar and being grammatically correct and all those good things.
He talks about grammar and gramper.
Yeah, he does. It's interesting.
Both of them.
It's interesting. So I write this to you as I am watching The Fellowship of the Ring. I found your podcast recently. I know super late, but I never really listened to podcasts. I fell in love with Tolkien at a young age. The way that Tolkien writes and allows the reader's imagination to take control captivated me.
Sure.
I was hooked and have been ever since. I searched Tolkien in the podcast app and came across an unexpected podcast. Wow. Yeah. So he says he wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but decided to give it a listen. I have been listening about two. He's on pace. Two episodes a day. I think he's trying to get caught up here. Lord bless him. He says I'm starting at the beginning and just listening to you guys talk through the chapters, bouncing ideas off one another, and just having a good time. Wish I could join and have a beer in the throat with you all. That takes you back, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, my friend. Well, anytime, man.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that I am stoked to have found this podcast and look forward to many more episodes. It's nice to know that there are others out there who believe there are so many hidden gems in Tolkien's writings. Yeah. His writings have gotten me through many difficult situations in my life. Yeah, and I think common thread, as we go back through this, I mean, we're finding new things. I feel like people who have been reading it for years and years are interested to hear what we have to say, only because it's different. Sometimes we can work ourselves into a box, and so it's nice for somebody to come in and share a different perspective or pull out a line and connect it to something that had happened previously.
As people have talked about what we're going to do after we finish Lord of the Rings, and we have plans for that, and it'll take a while. But we've even talked about in recent days, I've even gotten more excited at the thought of going back and doing a reunion tour and reading these books again and doing a reread.
Right.
And
we're just at the end of Two Towers.
Right. And what new things will we find then? What perspective will we have then? Mm-hmm. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yep. So, okay. So he goes on to say, in fact, a semester before I graduated college, I took a Shakespeare class. Ooh. We were discussing his sonnets and his writings. We discussed one where Shakespeare had capitalized words such as death and time as if they were beings and not just things.
Oh my gosh.
That kind of totally fits into, the Force.
Yeah.
Being
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like being
absolutely.
So
the light.
Yeah. So that he says, I hope that makes sense. And yes, it does make sense.
Yes, it does.
It was as if they were names. As I was talking this, as I was taking this class, I was rereading The Hobbit as well as The Fellowship and came across one of my favorite poems. The road goes ever on and on. I realized that Tolkien had left road capitalized.
Oh.
And he says, I'm not saying that Tolkien meant this, but it held meaning for me, and I thought it interesting. In my opinion, that Tolkien did something similar to Shakespeare here. He left road capitalized. At a glance, we overlook it.
Gosh.
But I feel potentially that, quote, road being capitalized is referring to life.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, right? In our own individual journeys. Life goes ever on and on. Cool.
Wow.
Really cool. It's really cool. Then you can continue to read.
I'm in, Jake.
The poem as
I'm
such.
buying it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So it says, I hope that makes sense. That absolutely does. He's never really typed it out before. It's interesting too to put your thoughts to writing and things. So awesome. I love that. So he says, anyways, the quote meant so much to me that I ended up getting "The road goes ever on" tattooed on my inner bicep.
No way.
Yeah. I can send
photos.
Yes.
Have we seen that in the group?
He might have.
I think we have.
Yeah, he might have been one who has sent it. Yeah, so we're always catching up on Bywater posts. So he says, I'm sorry this is so much. Almost done. I don't get to talk Tolkien very much.
Don't apologize.
Or about my experiences with him, so I really am enjoying this.
Yes.
Lastly, I wanted to share a poem that I wrote for my Shakespeare class about the Hobbit. And the title is Bright Past, as if Bilbo is writing. So this is interesting.
Wow,
here.
this is not fan fiction, but like a form of Tolkien inspired literature. Okay, so Bright Past, as if Bilbo was writing. If ever fields are green, then I shall walk. Though rolling hills under which lie my home, the gaffer comes to garden, but shall talk. It is then I get the urge to go roam. A gray-hatted man arrives at my knoll. He asks if I desire an adventure. I dare not leave my cozy hobbit hole. The thought of a journey without a small trencher. Wow. 13 haggard dwarves do wow. If I could read, that'd be excellent. 13 haggard dwarves do traverse with me. Also a wise wizard who guides and cares. Erebor, our journey endeth with thee. Along the way was ill news and wicked snares. There and back, holding tea by hearth at last, writing tales of my adventures bright past. Respectfully, Jake Shull from California. That is so cool, dude.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Like something Bilbo would just, it's just real quick and he's thinking about his journeys. Something to man, it's like the whole story just right there in a poem. That's beautiful.
Right there in a poem. And I do think that's the thing, is that like you have these little, the way in which he phrases things or punctuates things or whatever, he's the master at that. And so, it's really neat when we go back and look at that. I'm actually interested to go back now and look for capitalization and emphasis on different words and things. So
absolutely, my friend.
Oh boy.
All right, well, we've got a little thank you, Jake, for that. Again, as we always say every episode, that is our favorite part of every episode. We love getting to know you guys better and hear your stories and feel like we're a part of each other's Tolkien tales now. And that's really what these stories are all about, right? Bringing people together from all different places in the world and walks of life and, different beliefs and different backgrounds and showing that we're stronger because of it. All right, so strawberries with cream. For some people, it's spiders. For others, it's snakes. What gives you the creeps, my friend?
Oh, boy.
Other than me.
Other than you. Some people it's clowns. It could be, different things. Some people it's bats. Okay, sorry if I stole
Spoiler alert. Thanks, dude.
I didn't know. I was guessing.
Damn, Lord bless them.
I don't know. I was just guessing. For me, it actually is like I have had. Okay, you ready for some strawberries?
Is this a real one?
This is real.
Okay.
It's funny. Where's Jim when you need him?
I know, right? He go, yeah, right, Ezra.
Yeah, right.
Bull.
So I had these dreams growing up. I used to go to Kentucky quite a bit, and a couple of my cousins have been bit by copperheads, and they're poisonous.
They have copperheads there?
Absolutely, they do. Yes.
You got to suck the poison out.
They've got copperheads. Yeah.
No, they don't. Rattlesnakes?
Yes, they do.
In Kaintuck?
In Kaintuck, they do.
Get out of here.
100%. So not. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they do. So
okay, I believe you. Sort of
down in the tri-state region, there. So we were. So I would always see that. I went to. Oh my gosh! Let me see here. What was her name?
Oh boy, here we go.
No, you're gonna think I'm
another
making
one.
I'm actually
another former Mrs. Kirk, huh?
Trying to remember it.
She already said.
Yeah, former. Yeah, that's funny. It was one of my great aunts, and I honestly am blanking on her name right now because she was kind of like I never really knew my grandmother on my dad's side. So,
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, I did not. So I actually grew up kind of knowing my Aunt Irene, my great Aunt Irene, who just kind of became sort of our grandma, kind of took over. That's why we went down there so much, and that's why my dad kind of grew up down there after his mom passed away at a really early age. So, but we would go down to Kentucky, man, and like we were literally told, watch out for the snakes.
That's crazy, man.
And I can't remember, it's my great Aunt Irene's sister. We were over at her house. There were 3 to 4 snakes underneath that porch. And we saw them as we were walking up, and we're walking in. I'm just like, what?
That's nuts.
And she would say, like, make sure you jump out from the, if you're going out in the backyard, don't just step right down, kind of like if you're going over a log.
Jump out from the deck?
Yeah, you want to step out away from it.
Because
they're
right under the
right
steps
underneath
or what?
the steps. So they're right there. And I was like, what? No way. And so Sarah and I are out there, and the grass is thick, should be mowed. I'm like, we're playing in the gravel. We are in the gravel in the driveway where I can see things. So snakes, man. I had many, many dreams where I went to church. We didn't have a bathroom. We had an outhouse. And that's no joke. That is no joke. It's actually up until about 2000. Oh, my gosh.
Afraid of getting your snake bitten
13.
while you're draining the snake?
Dude, I'm telling you, man. There were snakes out by the outhouse. So we would go, and they weren't like real poisonous snakes or anything, but like still.
Bite's a bite,
they
you
were
know
snakes.
what I mean?
So I had these dreams, man, of just me being in, it's like Indiana Jones, man. I was just like in this pit of snakes, and they were the worst dreams ever. So I can't.
Oof.
So snakes, and then on top of that, the ocean. I don't belong there.
It's very Hobbity. Big water.
Yep, the water. I'll stay away from that.
The ocean is pretty freaky, especially when you consider like we don't know.
Have no clue what's in there.
Like 99% of what's going on in the oceans.
Not a clue. So
yikes. And snakes are also very scary. Man, I shouldn't take you on a walk in Amanda around springtime because they all come out and they get dried up and then just die right on the road. It'd probably freak you out. Big old blue-green snakes. I don't know. I'd probably just garter snakes or whatever. But yeah, so spoiler alert. Mine is bats.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I'm getting a memory flashback has just triggered.
You just started
of us sitting right here and it was flying around our heads. So I don't know if I've ever told the full story, but our house, our little bag end here in the Shire of America is perfect. Goldberry and I want to live here our entire lives. That's the plan. It's like our real dream home. Just it feels like a vacation all the time. It's pretty crazy. An absolute horror to clean because it's just old houses, they take forever to clean. Anyway, everything was perfect, right? And the one catch with this house is that something the seller didn't disclose to us.
Yeah.
Or he made sure it was off any kind of inspection or whatever. When the inspection was done, there were certain areas they didn't look in for sure. A colony of up to 80 bats, 90 bats, once resided in the walls of this house. So that was small brown bats. And for those of you who don't know, because most people don't know, they're a protected species, which I am all for. I'm a nature lover. I'm big into animal rights. I still eat meat, so shame on me for even talking about it right.
Oh yeah, but
sorry, Kurt. But I would love to be I would love to be a vegetarian, vegan. I would love to do it, but I still love the way meat tastes so much. It's terrible. But anyway, I digress again. Butterbur mode. Mm-hmm. So the bats are protected, so you can't just hey, get the exterminator out here. Let's get rid of these 90 bats, or let's transport these bats somewhere else. You can't do anything. Can't tamper with them. There are even times where you can't have removal services done because the babies are still inside, and if the parents can't get back to the babies, that's also against the law.
Wow.
Yeah, they're very protected because actually they're a great pest control if you think about it. They eat bugs.
Yeah.
And they're also, I don't think they're pollinators, but they're good for the they're good for the environment. So anyway, so bats. So we have had many run-ins of bats flying out of ceiling fans, bats flying out of air ducts, bats winding up in Amazon boxes that have been newly opened just in the house.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was crazy.
Bats appearing in the middle of a podcast. A bat with 2 babies getting stuck in one of our blinds. And then there was the joy of cleaning up guano every morning from their entry exit way. And so anyway, finally realized that we thought maybe they would go away and never come back. Realized that wasn't happening. So we were able to have people come in and put up one-way doors and then after a period of time, seal up those holes. And I just knocked on literal
You
wood.
should.
I think most of them are gone. Actually, the other night we were outside watching, and I'm like upset. It's something I can't untrain. If I hear them, I hear them, and I can hear bats anywhere. We'll be in the middle of a park, and I'll go, "There's bats here."
Yeah.
Look up, you see those little things flying? I can hear them squeaking. What? I can't hear anything. Those are bats. Just be warned. Those are bats. It's like my bat sense. I'm like Spider-Man, but I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
You are Batman. I was about to say that was my
I'm
thing,
Batman.
is that
Okay,
you're Batman.
But I'm so scared of them. They freak the crap out of me. So anyway, we were out there last night, and I saw them flying around. I'm like, great, they're back. That's cool. They're back. They're taking back over the house. I'm screwed. They're back. And but shined a flashlight up there, and the old file of Galadriel, and it looked like they were bats who had been returning and were trying to get back in our house and couldn't find the same doorway.
Yeah.
So there was a word of command that Gandalf sealed that up with.
Sorry, friends.
And please God, I'm hoping for the
There's
future
a tree
of our home.
or a cave that you
just go somewhere else.
Yeah,
Go to my neighbor's house. I don't care. Just
you'll
not,
be fine.
Not
You'll be
mine.
okay.
So anyway, bats.
Yeah, I tell you,
Freak me out.
Quick story on bats.
Yeah.
I was with a friend of mine.
Bat wings?
Old church friend. No, we're not talking about that. And we were fishing late at night. We were doing late night fishing just hit a pond.
That's creepy, man.
And we caught a bat on accident.
Like from casting?
Yeah, casting.
Holy cow. I probably thought that was a bug and it was going to get it.
Exactly did. And it totally just gulped it up. And I was like, what was that? Like, our line just died. And he was like, Brad caught a bat. I'm like, what?
Oh, my gosh.
And we reeled it in, sure enough.
Did you touch it to get it off?
He did. I didn't.
Oh,
yeah.
dude. I think we have a video on the page of me catching that one upstairs.
Yes, you did. Yeah. Yeah, that was good.
And I can tell you honestly, for the first
job.
2 years, Sarah had to save me. The very first time it happened, it was in our bedroom. We were lying down. I look up. I go, yeah! And I see this shadow. I mean, they look like freaking fell beasts flying around with ring wraiths on them, in the dark. And even when you turn the light on. And I pulled the covers over my head, and Sarah goes, I guess I'll take care of this. And she did.
She's the best.
But I think having the girls has given me the courage to be, an adult. So
yeah, it's good.
I'm trying to overcome my fears.
That's awesome.
How about time for sharing the load, my friend?
Yeah, friends, we've got some exciting things coming up. We have a cool Patreon episode. By the way, sorry for the Patreon episode that's coming up.
No, don't apologize.
I'm just going to tell friends that
explicit rating.
It's explicit rating,
yeah.
And so I am warning you now. If you listen to it and you're offended, then
and if you have a certain image of Ezra,
that was your own fault
in your head.
That was your own fault. Okay, you shouldn't have done that. So we're telling you right now not to go listen to it. But it is for those of you who are interested into some of the funnier story. We found humor in dark moments in our life.
I was just gonna say the whole premise is that lighthearted laughter and finding the comedy in life's tragedies,
getting in unexpected situations.
Yes.
And how do I get out of it? What do I do? So there's some funny stuff.
That is funny for us, not for the individual at the time, but also how laughing about stuff can get you beyond it. It can help you conquer. So yeah.
And we should probably do a follow up because there is actually happy endings to some of those stories that we tell.
Dude, Jim was even thinking, he was like, dude, why didn't I tell that story? after we recorded, he was like, I had that. I forgot that
and
one.
then I actually said, why did I tell that story? That was what I was saying. But no, so some fun stuff there on Patreon, and we've got some other cool things lined up. But honestly, we appreciate you guys helping us out and just sharing the load. So, there's that. We have, really with the studio, just an update. I said at the top of the show, we plan on starting some of that construction around the end of May. Got to get Kev and some of the other guys. And we know some of you have volunteered and who are local want to come help us work on that. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Another thing you could do to share the load is also just head over to @UpTalkinTolkien on Instagram. You can head over to Facebook and what have you. Support us there. Write a review. That always is very helpful. And we have a special guest for you now.
You want to say hi?
Can you say hello?
Say hello?
My mouth's full right now.
She's doing second lunch, I think.
Oh, second lunch.
You keep going. She's going to warm up.
Yeah, she'll warm up. All right. So anyways, so that's Share the Load. We have the newsletter with Jen Shepard. We got a website coming. We have some fun things too. If you're interested in social media takeover and you're one of our Valar patrons, we'd like to get that going at some point as well too. So some cool things coming up with Sherston and Phil. So yeah, we'll go. Was that a no? Did I get a no?
I was trying to scroll down on the dock and she's typing. She said
not having
that.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Can you say hello?
Yeah, she can. Ooh, does it smell good?
Don't
It's actually a new
forget
mic.
the sniffing.
It's actually a new mic. Can
Can you say hello? Say hello.
Hello.
Wow. Well, there you go, friends.
Can you say I love you?
Hello. Hello.
Oh my goodness, you're the sweetest.
Well, guys, Winnie loves you. We love you too. Sharing the load is a cool way to, I don't know, like Ezra just explained. There's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. So
yeah, we love you guys.
what did she just do?
So
yeah, she is better at this thing than I am.
yeah. So we want to.
Oh, it's time for weekly well wishes.
It's time for us to get out of here.
Formerly Fortnite farewells. We want
Yeah.
to thank you for. I didn't rewrite that. We want to thank you for slicing your way through the webs with us.
There you go.
Next time we're gonna be having some major life decisions to make, some choices with old Master Samwise
Yes, we
Gamgee
will. Yeah.
as we get into chapter 10, I think, of
Mm-hmm.
book 4, the final chapter of book 4,
Yep.
which is called The Choices of Master Samwise Gamgee.
Right, can't wait for that. So, if you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a Shadowfax.
We'll see you in a Hobbit fortnight, and remember, hey, can you say Frodo lives?
I shot.
Close enough. That's great. Frodo lives. She's laughing. She's laughing. Frodo lives.
Say, hello, I love you.
Hello.
Say, Elmo.
Amo.
Say, mommy. Say, Charlotte. Can you say, banana? Hey, Winnie, when you want more of something, what do you say?
Peace.
Please, good girl.
There's just lots of babies popping up.
Real good.
It's like Shelob getting all her kids out there going or I don't know, spider
Yeah, she's out there. Y'all get out there and find me some hobbits.
You know when the girl hobbit has her baby.
She said, you know what? Come here, boy.
I'm gonna eat your thorax.
You look pretty tasty. You know, you ain't gonna make it very long anyway. I'm gonna get you up.